on earth did something like this happen? What have you been able to uncover as to what happened with this case?
Yeah, obviously no family should ever have to go through what this family is going through right now. And whenever something like this happens, it's our responsibility to find out what happened, how do you fix it, and then how do you prevent it from ever happening again in the future. We've made a change in who we contract with. We're no longer contracting with the individual who did the initial test result. I've also ordered an independent review as well from another outside professional to take a look at the work that our previous contractor had done, just to see was something missed or what was missed, how was it missed.
What is the policy, I guess? Are bodies only identified with dental records?
No, so they can be identified in different ways depending on on what we have, right, in terms of the remains, whether or not there's a good dental record that can be used for a match, whether really we're looking at DNA sample or what it is that's being looked at. And here, what they had, and my understanding of it, was they did have the remains of someone that had a dental record that could be matched. And so they go through the process they go through, and they found what they thought was a match. Frankly, it was actually looked at now by two other professionals who looked at it and said it is a probable match. And so the science is imperfect. And there are also other things that could take place and other factors there. So that's what's being investigated now, because we did have two other professionals, including one that we hired from out of town, to take a look at it to see, was the first individual who looked at it, were they just wildly off, or what happened there? And actually they reported back to me this morning that there was probable reason to think that they matched. So we decided to change the policy so that when a match is made between an individual and a dental record, we're also going to engage in DNA testing with family members to back up the work that was done with the dental.
Is it more expensive to do the DNA in addition to the dental records, or why hasn't that been the policy?
These are decisions that are determined by the medical examiner, and it's based on what they have in front of them. Because remember, to do a DNA test, you also have to have DNA to compare it to. So you can have a DNA sample from a deceased individual, but if you don't have somebody to compare that to, the DNA is not going to do you any good. So it depends on the condition of the deceased individual that we have. It depends on what other things and then what other investigatory leads they have.
How do you know that this hasn't happened in the past? How do you know that there aren't families out there who have been misidentified?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. This is the first case of this nature that's come to my attention in the last several years, but I think you have to follow the changing science here, and it's incumbent upon us to, when something like this does happen, which is incredibly unusual. I haven't seen this, and the medical examiner hasn't exactly seen this either.
Where did so the family did not provide the dental record. So where did that come from, and is that authentic?
That I can't. That's information that's not public available information, so I can't give that to you.
Did anybody say, hey, we misidentified this body back then and the family's mad? County executive, what should we do?
No. So I was first made aware of this just several weeks ago.
The family told me they were told, if you can return the ashes, we will give you a refund. I'm not sure if you know this, but they combined the ashes with a previous loved one, and so now they're together.
Yeah, that I'm not aware of. So, and obviously that's a terrible situation, and that's why I started by saying this is a very bad situation from top to bottom that no family should ever have to go through. And I would obviously offer an apology to this situation. And that's what I thought had happened, to be frank with you.
What changes have you asked for to try and ensure that this doesn't happen again?
Yeah, so I've set a number of policies in place. Number one is that we do have a new contractor that's working on it. We've asked for a second opinion, particularly on this case, to get to the bottom of it. And we're still investigating, just to be clear. I'm not finished trying to figure out exactly what happened here, particularly when we have a second professional from out of town looked at this and said, no, that was a reasonable conclusion. That's not going to satisfy me. We also implemented a new DNA policy that there be a DNA test after a dental record test when a case like this comes up. And I also prepared a submission to the county legislature next month to add additional resources to the medical examiner's office. One of the things that I've come to learn is that our medical examiner's office isn't an accredited department, an agency with New York State, which it can be. And so we're adding staff. We're going to increase salaries to attract additional people to the office with the goal to be accreditation of that department.
Do you know if there's like family counselors there, like someone to sit down and walk families through this?
Yes. So last year we made that investment. We invested in a staff there that would actually work with families, because you have medical professionals whose job it is, and their wheelhouse is really the examinations and the medical side. We wanted to have support staff in place to be able to work with families, so we made those hires last year. Ironically, that's kind of how this case came to us, was that because of the additional staff that we hired, we had additional capacity to go back through and look at cold cases, look at deceased individuals who we've had for some period of time, and start opening up cold cases. This, my understanding, was one of those cold cases.